Well, hi, you guys.
Hello.
Two of my favorite IT support staffers. Thank you very much.
If people only knew what we were talking about before this show started, eh?
Oh my gosh, super rock and roll. Like, how do I clear my cache?
How
Yeah.
do I clear my browsing history?
What does
Oh,
this
Google Drive is
mean?
not working.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You know what's
Modern
interesting
problems.
is we kind of looked like the amount of people that it took to try to help Sharon was like the town trying to work on a pothole.
Yeah. It's like, did you do this? Yep. Did you try that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And still we're here. So
Yeah.
if you guys have any, you send us mailbag questions all the time. If you would like us to fix your stuff, think again. Ask us about your favorite movies or favorite songs, anything else.
We do
We
have
can't.
some listener questions. We actually have a couple to get to tonight if possible. So, or today.
Oh, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so should we save them till the end?
Yes, so listener mailbag at the end.
Listener mailbag, because that way we make sure that you listen till the end.
Yeah.
Or I suppose you could always fast forward 10 seconds, but then you'd hurt your thumb. So don't do that. Stick with us, because I would say, and I would bet that you guys would agree with me, that the description of the new memoir coming from one Britney Spears is either nerve-wracking or redundant. We'll get to that.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah, it probably is both. You won't actually have to decide. However, if you're looking for a new home, have we got the place for you? We don't have the money to help you buy it, but we have got ideas for you. We've also got more news on an album that closes a 24-year window since the last time this duo recorded. They're still together, mostly because they're married, but they haven't recorded an album since 24 years ago, so we'll talk about that a bit. Kelly's going to test us with some trivia as usual, and I'll dig into a 90s rewind that'll make sure that your mindset is 90s strong.
Yeah.
Now, we're also probably going to talk about Adam's trip, because that was pretty cool, and the live music that he saw.
Yeah. In Vegas, baby.
In Vegas, baby. He can only give us so many details because of all the rules about what happens in Vegas.
Well, you know what's funny? When I was coming back from Vegas, I was at the what do you call the les douanes? How do you say that in English?
Customs.
Customs. So I was at the customs, and they always ask you what was the purpose of your trip. I didn't think about my answer. So I was like, pleasure, friends, have a good time. And I just couldn't. And he said, you know what? I'm not going to ask any more questions, because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Have a great day, sir. And I was like, wow.
That's cool. That's risky too, eh? When you make jokes with the customs officers.
I was not trying to make a joke. I froze. I was like,
oh, good.
Yeah.
My inclination is always to sort of be like, well, and Deb's always like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. We're gonna end up in a room. So you survived that, Adam. Welcome home.
Thank you.
Well, before we actually start, we should just start with the concert that you saw. You saw a couple.
I saw, well, it's not 90s, but we love her, Katy Perry.
Nice.
Yes.
She was amazing. How do I describe this? Like when you go on tour, you can't bring all the props you want, because it's hard to travel the whole thing from a city to the other. But when you have a residency at the same place, you can go all out. And she really did. She was funny. She made jokes to the audience. She was generous of her time, her person. She blew me away. Honestly,
cool.
she was amazing. I have no bad words to say. I loved everything. So
That's
bravo,
awesome.
Katy Perry. Yeah.
Right on. Well, you know what?
I'm a kitty cat. Katy cat.
Oh, well, there was a bunch of kitty cats in the first rows, and they were having the time of their lives.
Would that be fans of Katy Perry?
Yeah, I should really clarify. I'm not a kitty cat, but
thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
And she had her choreographer. They were having a baby shower, because they're him and his boyfriend are expecting a child in the next few weeks. So they decided to spend the weekend in Vegas to celebrate that. And she always has a stage come on stage and dance with her. So for that night, she brought her choreographer, and they did this amazing choreography on stage. It was great.
Did they say the name of the choreographer?
Yes, but
Was it Nick and RJ?
I
No,
feel like it might be them because it does ring a bell.
because Nick and RJ, who we've had on Just Dance with Kelly and Tina, they did Katie's 2015 Super Bowl and are currently Pink's choreographers also.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, it was totally them. I just Googled.
It was Nick and RJ. That's
yeah.
great. So they're expecting a baby. That's great. I did not know this. This is amazing.
Yeah. Well, unless they
You're
just
gonna have
really
to send
look
a
like them
card.
and it's not them, but it sure looks like them. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, they've been married. I think it's probably 10 years now they've been married. So that's amazing. Great.
Wow.
I'll
Oh,
have
you
to
know
tell-
what?
I'll have to tell Tina Landon because I'm not sure she knows this either.
Neat.
You know what we did miss though, because we
What?
went on the Friday. But guess who was at the show on Saturday?
Madonna.
Ooh.
No. Miss Kim Kardashian,
Oh,
Oh,
Paris Hilton,
wow.
and Sia. They were all
Nice.
together for the show. So
Wow.
Katie brought what's her name? Northwest on stage to dance with her.
Oh, cool.
So we missed on that, but hey,
Wow.
there
You
are
were
worse
close
things in
enough.
life. Yeah.
You were closer than we were.
Yep.
here's a factoid, by the way, that I just found out this weekend about Kim Kardashian. Evidently, her car collection is worth $2 million.
Wow.
To be fair, you could have one car that's worth that much money.
Yeah, she has apparently a many that are around the $400,000 mark. So
I have a
Nice.
sedan.
I can beat you on that, Sharon. I'm currently driving my daddy's car. So
Aw.
Oh,
Oh, the riches of the podcast world.
Yeah.
let me just say, not to add up to this, but guess who does not have a car in the team?
Well, I
you
guess
win,
it's
Adam.
you.
I win.
All the money that we're saving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really solid now offering for our 90s now. But one of our favorites that actually adds some 80s elements to her and a constant thread in the 90s years of our friend Kelly Alexander. It is that Janet Jackson's tour has begun. What I find amazing, and I thought we should get to that sooner than later so that Kelly's head doesn't pop off. The idea that she's got a 40-song set. How
Wow.
is that even possible? She started at lunch?
Yeah.
Well, that's almost as long as Taylor Swift, who has 44 songs in her
That's
current tour.
Wild.
I applaud artists that do that. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Even their own songs that they remember the words and the moves and the whatever, like that's a lot.
Yeah, Janet's taken no mess with this tour. And what I'm excited about, first of all, I've seen some of the costumes and she looks stunning. And she turns 57 on the 16th of May. She looks 27. I'm not joking. She looks, that was very emphatic for our audio listeners. She looks fantastic. She sounds fantastic. She looks like she's having the most fun. And what I like, if you're a hardcore Janet fan, is she's actually whipped out some album tracks on this tour also.
Nice.
Ooh.
So that's where some of that's coming from. And she's brought back, for example, Because of Love, which was on the Janet album, which is celebrating its 30th anniversary in May. So I think that was probably a little nod to the fans to bring back a song from then. Like, obviously she's doing some of the songs like That's the Way Love Goes, but Because of Love was a single, but I think she'd kind of not really performed it as often lately and has brought that back. So yeah, I can't wait. And it's funny because somebody messaged me on Twitter and was like, are you going to watch like clips or just want to stay surprised?
Well, that was my question. What's the answer?
I totally watch clips. Yeah, totally watch clips.
Are you
Because-
going to
and
watch
it's funny-
like clips or like the whole thing?
Oh no, like I've watched a few clips just and
Okay.
just enough to sort of it's really made me excited for the tour. Like I was already excited for it, but now it's like next level to see how they've managed to put this one together. So I'm excited for the Toronto show and I'm just so happy that she seems to be having a blast, which is great.
And when is the Toronto show?
May 23rd.
Whoa, that's
Sharon,
soon.
want to
Val.
drive me?
Okay. You should take the train.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work for my schedule wise because I literally have no idea how I'm going to get there because of all the farm work. But I think I might farm work in the morning, drive to Toronto, see show, try to sleep a few hours, drive back.
Yeah, where are you going to sleep for a few hours?
I've slept in my car before when I've done Janet tours, so that's probably what's going to happen.
You got to do what you got to do.
And
Yeah.
then you were judging me right before this show for not sleeping in Vegas. You're as bad as I am, Kelly
Yeah.
Alexander.
It's more like if I didn't have to get back to the farm, I would like probably sleep somewhere else, but I'll probably just literally pull over at a gas station, sleep a few hours and drive home. So
Wow. Well, you have better got to be careful.
yeah, I know. My
'Cause then you're
my
gonna
mom
be
got mad at me one time when I did that, and I came home and she was like, she found out, she's like, when are you gonna be home? I'm like, I am home. She's like, what? Because I drove overnight back from Toronto, and
Oh,
she was
boy.
so mad. Yeah, she was mad.
Yikes.
She's like, if you had it broken down, like in the highway, which like she was all, accurate and being mom-like, but I was determined to not spend money in a hotel room, so I drove home at the time.
So what your plan is then to sleep for a little bit, then drive home and then work that day?
Yeah,
That doesn't sound healthy.
it's not, no.
Okay, as long as we know.
Yeah. Knowledge is power, Sharon.
Fair enough, Kel. Fair enough. Well, nice segue into healthy topic. The new Britney Spears memoir is being described as brutally honest.
Mm,
After everything that we have seen Britney wise over the last few years, what's left to know?
mm,
That's what, and apparently there's a lot still to learn because she talks about everything from her childhood dreams, her breakup with Justin, which to me, I think, how old were they when they were an item?
Was it 2003, Adam?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I can check if you want.
Oh, wait,
2003 is 20 years ago.
Yeah, for sure 20, if not because well, actually, it would have been probably 21 or 22 because he started his solo career in 2003, I think, or 2002, and that's when Cry Me a River, right, would have come out.
Right.
So
they split up in 2002.
there we go.
And how old is she now? May I ask?
Is she 41? I feel
So
like
she was
might
like
be-
20, right? Then
Kelly's right on the dot. She is 41.
so she
So
was
she would, she would have been 20. Yeah.
That's amazing to me. Like, I think that the couples that stay together from, if they got together when they were 19 or 20 years old or younger, whatever, those success stories are fewer
Mhm,
than more common, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
And they were, and especially if you're a couple in the spotlight and kids,
Yeah.
it's almost like you're doomed. There's no way that you're going to stay together.
Mhm.
Do we
So-
know of famous couples that like started dating in their 20s? And they're
I
still
think
together?
there might be like, I don't know if 20s, but like I think some of the older movie stars that are even dead at this point, right, Sharon? Like somebody probably from the 30s or 40s would have like back in the day stuck it out, maybe.
Marriage killed him. No, just
Yeah.
kidding.
Ah!
Do you know who got married at I guess a normal age, and I'm not sure what that age was, but Michael J. Fox and his wife, what's his name? Tracy
Yep.
Pollock.
Yep.
Pollen.
Holland, yeah.
And they're still together. That's many years. I think it was like the late 80s, early 90s that they got together. And they're
And I
still
think,
making it
what
work.
about like Dolly Parton? Like
Dolly Parton and her husband have been together forever.
Yeah, yeah. And then isn't Willie Nelson and his lady? Or did
I
he
think
cheat
so.
a lot? I'm not sure.
I do not know.
I'll say
exactly.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Well, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman have been together for a long time. How old
Yeah.
are they?
They've been together since like mid-30s, late 30s.
Yeah.
Right? Late
'Cause
30s.
She
Okay.
had to survive her marriage to Tom Cruise first.
Right.
She was married to Tom Cruise.
She was.
I had no idea. Well, forget about that.
Yeah. Well,
My-
they have, and don't they have like a 16 or 15-year-old daughter now? Suri was born in 2006, maybe.
That's not theirs. That's
Suri
what's her name?
Cruz. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, that's Katie Holmes.
Katie
Yeah.
Holmes is the mother of Suri, and the
Yeah.
two other children that they had adopted.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on Scientology
It's
because
murky waters, Sharon.
I don't think that she's. Maybe that's changed, but at the time, I don't think she was involved in their lives because she would have had to have left the religion, and then there's rules about that. So it's likely that the kids were turned against her.
Right.
But I don't know.
Allegedly, Sharon.
Allegedly.
That's the word we're looking for.
Yeah. Don't come after me.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of weirdos. All right, there we go. It's like I couldn't give it in. So this book, I don't remember what the date for release of this
I
book
think
is,
it's,
but
I don't think they put a date. I think it's this fall. She got paid, or she will be paid. The rumor has it 15 million for this bad boy.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. And my concern, for sure, she has a ghostwriter. So they should make everything readable, if you will.
Yeah.
Because when we read
compared to her Instagram captions.
yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
Because those are nerve-wracking and redundant.
She's a little all over the place with those posts.
Well, things like, her story being triumphant, we know that that's true. She survived what she survived, and she is where she is. The follow-up to that survival story, like Adam was saying, the Instagram posts and the pictures have been like, what's happening? But then the description further to the book is that it's an inspiring read. They say not only because it shows her strength, but because her story is told with such style, wit, intelligence, honesty, and without any self-pity. So it'll be interesting. And I'm sure, just based on the fact that this would be a great selling book if she hadn't given such intense access to her personal life. But I think people want even more now that they've got what they've got. So good luck to her.
My question is, will she remember what happened with her and Britt and Justin? Because I don't remember what happened in my 20-year-old relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no kidding.
I just remember their denim shirt and ensemble.
Yeah.
For the MTV Awards or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, I guess. The benefit of being a Hollywood couple or in the spotlight at all is that there's no shortage of people trying to get your picture. Yeah. Running stories on you on the tabloid shows and stuff. So she'll have a fun trip down memory lane.
I wonder if Jessica Biel will read this book. Maybe she'll skip the Justin chapter.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or skip the book entirely.
Maybe.
We skipped right over.
Trivia.
We skipped it so much, I don't have the theme ready. Wait, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
90s. Now, trivia.
Bing bong.
Bing bong. Maybe it's just the side effect of the level of difficulty of the trivia questions over the last few weeks that subconsciously I skipped over it on purpose.
Yeah, but you've done well. You went 2 for 2 2 weeks ago, and you got 1 out of 2 last week.
Okay, let's do more. I forgot.
So we'll start with the toughie, which is always art and literature. And so in which book by Mitch Albom, and we'll spell it Albom, does the narrator visit his old teacher at university
Sharon.
a certain day of the week?
Tuesdays with Maury.
Oh, Sharon.
Boom.
Was that because of Oprah that you know that answer?
I know it's because did I read that one? I read a few of his books. I've rewritten a few of his books. It's quite a task. No, I've read them. He has such an interesting style of telling a story that it's very easy to read.
I have to say I'm not familiar with Mitch Albom.
You should. They're really heartwarming, thought-provoking, very well told stories.
Cool.
Yeah. Highly advised. So Tuesdays with Maury, the idea that he reconnected with a teacher, right, Kel? And it was long enough ago. I'm pretty sure I did not read the book, and I saw the movie, and I think Jack Lemmon was
that sounds right.
Maury.
Yeah. I also did not read the book, even though I feel certain that this was on an Oprah's top.
For sure it was.
Yeah.
For sure.
I usually read John Grisham. You're welcome.
Wow.
He's my man. Yeah. Only on vacation usually. So I love John Grisham though. I actually wanted to interview him once, and I don't think he really does interviews, so that wasn't going to happen. Anyways.
Well, you tried.
Yeah, kind of like I did with Mel C of the Spice Girls.
Maybe if you get him for your Just Dance pod, totally trick him. What am I doing here? I knew I'd get you.
This is a pop culture question.
All right.
Victoria Beckham, aka Posh Spice, was famous for wearing which item of clothing?
Adam,
Yep.
I don't know, jumpsuits.
Oh, nice guess. No.
Oh.
Sharon,
Totally know this.
is it a mini dress?
Well, Adam, I'll let Adam decide if he's willing to accept that because the answer is a little black dress, which is basically what Sharon
Little
just said.
black number.
Okay,
Little.
I'll give it to you.
Thank you. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Thank
Your streak
you.
continues, Sharon. You've gotten like at least an answer right the last 3 weeks.
And today's a 2 for 2. So you know what that means, Adam? We're doomed next week.
Okay, I
Yeah.
take it back. I'm not giving her that point.
Sharon, just quickly before you move on, I forgot to mention, I should have mentioned this in our pre-show meeting. At the time of you being able to watch this show and or listen, our new interview with 90s Canadian superstar Amanda Marshall will be online.
Ooh.
So I just wanted to mention that if you are a fan of Birmingham and all the other magical songs like Dark Horse, which Elton John, do you remember went on the Rosie show and talked about her and then her
Yeah.
album sales and everything went bananas?
Yeah. And rightfully so.
Mhm.
Elton John is one of those artists
Mhm.
where he loves music. He loves he's got an appetite for it. Like he just loves finding new stuff and so that did great for her. But the idea that she is just so worthy of the praise that she would have gotten from him because her albums were great, and then boof, she was gone.
Yeah.
You know, like what happened?
It sounds
Which
like there was legal troubles with.
Was she able to give any detail about where she went or why?
She didn't seem to want to hit. Not that she. First of all, she was super kind, very amazing. Her answers were thoughtful, but I got the gist, like not don't ask it, but it just felt like no. So I didn't ask about where she'd been for 20 years, but she is back and in full effect.
All right.
And I've heard enough rumors that it sounded like it was like a label dispute or a managerial dispute, and she had to. I don't know if she had to wait till those contracts lapsed.
Oh God.
But she was supposed to be back, by the way, in just before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit, and then she had to put everything on hold.
Okay.
And so, but the interview is amazing, and I have to say, like, as soon as we started the interview, and I think I told this to Sharon already, I said, before we start recording, Amanda, can I fangirl for a second? And she was like, what's going on? And I said, I just want to let you know that I said, I used to scream / pretend to sing Birmingham at the top of my lungs when I used to drive to school in my Nissan Stanza, which they don't even make as a car model anymore. So she got a kick out of that. But we talk about Elton John. We also talk about her opening for Whitney Houston and what that meant to her. And
Wow.
just such a great answer on that Whitney question, such a great answer on the Elton question, and even explaining what it was like to go on the Rosie show after that, because she was a guest on the Rosie O'Donnell show after.
Oh yeah.
And just a great story too about how Elton tracked her down when she was on tour in Western Canada in a small town. And the maitre d' apparently was like beside himself that Elton John was on the phone. So it's really cool. So if you hit up our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Kelly Alexander Show, which if you're watching this right now, that is where you are. But Amanda Marshall, she'll be there for you.
Coolio.
Yeah.
Speaking of cool things and places to live, we weren't, but I needed a segue. Basically, if you're looking for a new home, humble abode, or subtle manor, the home owned currently by Jeff Franklin is for sale. So by humble abode in this case, a gigantic mansion is more suitable. This Jeff Franklin, you might recognize the name from seeing it on the credits for Full House as the creator of the show. And the creator of this huge house, or the owner of it anyways, 21,000 square foot home. And what you get with this compound is a price tag of $60 million.
Wow.
Which is a bargain because it had been up for sale a few times prior, obviously at higher prices. But for your $60 million, you guys, you're going to get 9 bedrooms, 18 bathrooms, a 75-yard-foot pool with waterfalls, plural, a movie theater, a billiards room, hair salon, and a gym. Oh, yes, there's parking also for your 16 cars.
And Sharon?
Cars don't come with the home. It just will, your 16-car garage will be able to house them all. Of course, the view. If
Do
you
they
can
also-
find the windows in this place, there's a view.
Do they also get a partridge in a pear tree?
For sure. Obvi. Uh-huh. And like I said, it's been up for sale a couple other times. And what happens is when it goes up for sale, weirdly, they're saying that other celebrities want to rent it. So they rent it for a month. I think it's like $300,000 a month or something.
$350.
Something, affordable.
I don't know what's worse. Well, not
Something
worse, but
affordable.
like what's bigger, 60 million for the house or 350 a month for
That
rent?
sounds way more than
It's
60 million.
outrageous. Wow.
Indeed. Well, what happens is they rent it for like the month and then they're like, thanks.
Yep.
And then he tries to put it up for sale again. I think
It's
it's
beautiful though.
the daunting task of cleaning 18 bathrooms. Nope.
Question for you though, like, and we see this all the time because one of my favorite things that I love to do on my station is celebrity real estate. Like, it's
Yeah.
always such a great little bit to just talk about because it's just so fascinating how the other half lives. But like,
Yeah.
it's always like 9 bedrooms and 72 bathrooms. I'm like, how many bathrooms do you
How
need?
many you need?
Even if it's just a water closet, but is it really a water closet?
What is a water closet?
You've
I've
never
never even heard that
You've
phrase.
never heard of a water closet?
What happens in the water closet? Is that like a powder room?
Bad thing, Sharon.
Sounds like it. Hey, I've got a
You
question.
come out a
'Cause
changed person.
Yeah.
on the article, it says the home sits where Sharon Tate and her best friends were brutally murdered by Charles Manson's followers back in 1969.
So that's the home?
They
Or
raised
it's
it.
near it.
Well,
No,
the murder house was raised and replaced with Jeff's massive house, according to the article.
Okay,
But
well that explains
Was that
everything.
the thing that inspired? It's a question. I don't know the answer. Was that the story that inspired Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yes.
By Tarantino.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Did you see that movie?
I did. Loved it.
Kelly, did you see that movie? No, is that what you said? I didn't
Did
hear you.
not know.
Well, do you have any intention of seeing it?
Well, considering I'm about backlog by 14 years on movie,
I just love the way they did the movie and paid tribute to the possibilities of
What
mess.
happened?
Yeah. I mean, it's bloody and messy, and it's totally fitting of the time and of the Tarantino.
Mm.
But
It's in an artistic way, though. Like
Mhm. Oh, totally.
yeah.
And it's and like that story about those murders, gruesome, and Charles Manson and his followers were troubled, obviously. So to sort of kind of reroute that story in a way that I think pays respect to those that were killed, I liked it for that. And for many other reasons. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio is excellent in it.
Brad Pitt won.
is
He
amazing.
won the Oscar for a supporting actor, I think.
Yeah.
In that movie.
Yeah.
Or he was nominated at least.
did he actually win? I thought, did he
Um,
win? I
maybe
feel
he
like
didn't
Brad
win.
Pitt still hasn't won. I feel like I haven't seen an
Yeah, but he won best.
Did.
Let me check. Yeah, he did win for Once Upon a Time in
did?
Hollywood. Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Oh yeah, but that's because that's already several years ago. Was that pre-pandemic?
That must have been
Mm.
right before the pandemic in
Yeah.
2020. Yeah.
Because we watched it at
I watched
in
it
the first year.
pre-pandemic. Yeah. In the summer of 2019. So he would have won in February 2020, just before pandemic. Yeah.
It's crazy how
Cool.
the last 2.5 whatever years it is now is like a black hole. You know what I
3
mean?
years.
Yeah.
3 years now, yeah.
Isn't it crazy? It's 3 years.
And I remember, I don't know if I told you guys this story, but when it first started in like that, March, and we were going into lockdown and everything, I spoke to a friend of mine who's a nurse, and maybe you had a similar conversation, Sharon, with your sister, but my friend, the nurse, who like, they don't pull no punches. And I said,
Mhm.
yeah, well, like, hopefully like we'll be able to sort of get through this fairly soon. And she goes to me, no.
Thanks for
And
your honesty.
She was right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been that chemistry class I missed when they went through pandemics and how
Pandemics and time measure.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's almost over.
she's so like, just like, as you know, your sister is super blunt too, and like it was just like that. I was like, no, this is not going away anytime soon, Kelly. And I was like, damn
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's true. I'll still wear a mask going into grocery stores or
Yep.
very public spaces
Yep.
indoors, and you can see, and I'm in the minority, but And you can see sort of people trying to figure out why you're still doing that, and some kind of flat out look at you weird.
Yep.
Like, whatever, man. What if I had a cold and I didn't want you to get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So-
yeah.
I just had that a few weeks ago. I was at my niece's skating extravaganza, and both Elaine and I wore a mask. She wasn't feeling well, so she didn't want to spread anything around. And I still don't like being in crowds like where
Yeah.
I just want to kind of lock it down. And so they couldn't believe that there was two of us standing like beside each other with masks.
A crowd.
And even my mother was like, "What's going on?"
Pandemic, Mummy Alexander.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't care. She's old.
Okay, so we're at the point now. Oh, you know what we forgot to mention? Sorry, forgot to talk about the new album that's coming out from the group that hasn't done an album in 24 years. And I believe that we had talked about it already, but it's Everything But the Girl.
Yes.
And not to rush through it, but the idea that Tracy Thorn and her husband, Ben Watt, so they've not been apart because they've been married, but they did go bandwise on hiatus. They still sort of explored musical things, but Everything But the Girl, what was the song? Missing, right?
Yep.
Talk about, that's one of the staple 90s tunes. And you just, as soon as you hear it,
Head
you
bob.
hear the bass line, you can hear any version of it, any of your remixes, Kelly. And it still sounds great. So new single called Nothing Left to Lose marks a 24-year, the window closing after that many years. And fun. More to come, obviously, from them. They seem, they look healthy, they look happy, they look ready to rock.
That's what we like, Sharon.
Yeah, and you know what? They pointed to the idea that the pandemic, as we were just talking about, sort of changed everything and the impact of a number of things. But people want music, so it's nice to probably have that feeling of being welcomed back so openly, and that people are still interested in hearing what you have to say artistically. I think that's great.
And they've had a positive response to it as well. So they're like, just like, and they just said too that it was encouraging knowing that it felt kind of at ease, right? So
yeah,
that's good. By the way, I actually have a 90s tune that I have to share with both of you after.
Oh, very good.
You do your magic.
Well, we can do a 90s rewind. That'll take us right to the heart of our favorite decade. Sorry, not the heart, but the beginning of our favorite decade, which is, of course, 1990. Now, here's the thing. See, there's almost like too many songs to pick from around this time in April in 1990. Topping the charts was Sinead O'Connor and her take on Nothing Compares to You, which would certainly become a signature tune. And at this point, we likely all know that it was written by Prince.
Yeah.
To contrast that level of depth, question, how can we be lovers if we can't be friends? How can we still keep this haircut, Michael Bolton? I was so happy when he cut his hair. Oh my gosh. He had a lot of hair and quite that voice, right?
Yeah.
Remember, Cal, we used to do what would Michael Bolton say? Michael Bolton was a recurring character at the very beginning stages of 90s Now. So he would field questions on any number of topics. And because there was no visual component, he would answer them.
Maybe you should answer one of our questions later from the mailbag as Michael Bolton.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, because I've missed on all of that. I need to hear that.
This is epic.
Yeah. Another really cool voice from that time, still happening, was Lisa Stansfield.
Oh.
And All Around the World. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that song and her voice. Good Lord. Speaking of voices,
is Lisa Stansfield and Everything But the Girl, like the two lead singers, they kind of look like they could be sisters.
yes, they do. You're right. Oh my goodness. You know who doesn't look like them?
Me.
Michael Bolton.
Or like she did then, actually.
Mhm.
Taylor Dane.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And what was the song? I've lost it on my screen. Sorry.
She also has her own way of singing, Taylor Dane.
Love Will Lead You Back.
Yeah.
Such a voice. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I could hit it. If I went into my car now and drove around a little bit,
Yeah.
I'd be Taylor Dane. I would be her. Okay. Great big rock sounds out of Aerosmith and What It Takes. That from the Pump album. And let's wrap it up on what we would need to be to buy Jeff Franklin's home. I Want to Be Rich from Callaway was doing real well in our Walkman headphones back around this time in 1990.
That got played like a gajillion times an hour. That
La,
song.
la, 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 la.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was almost
totally.
like the Bad Boys theme song, which also got played like a gajillion times.
Oh yeah.
So I know we have to get going. So just quickly, first of all, song of the week that the both of you have to check out.
Yeah.
I found this out recently by accident. So I believe he's a remixer and he goes by A-Lock. So A-L-O-K. He and another super producer, Kenny Dope Gonzalez, worked on a song called Deep Down with Crystal Waters and Ella Eyre. And
Ooh.
it's like a remix of like Gypsy Woman and another hit song from the 90s whose the name of it's escaping me right now. But the minute you listen to this song and you hear them remixed together, it's bananas. So
Wow.
please check that out.
Okay.
So A-Lock, Kenny Dope, and Crystal Waters. It's so good.
I've got one for you guys also. I don't know if you've started watching. You must have at this point because you're Canadian. The beginning of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Oh,
There's a couple of really
I was
cool-
in Vegas, so I missed all of it.
Oh, right.
Even though I think Vegas are in the playoffs.
Oh, that's entirely possible.
I didn't see any.
Montreal is not.
No, they're not.
They're golfing.
However, of the montage things that they put before the first game,
On Sportsnet or
would have been on Sportsnet. One of them
Okay.
was to the tune of Sixpence None the Richer's "Kiss Me."
Oh,
And it was different scenes from over the years of teams winning the Stanley Cup and kissing the cup and hoisting it
Oh.
over their heads. And then the tagline is "Everyone remembers their first kiss."
I've
nice.
got goosebumps.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's so well done because it's the way that song sounds. It's so lovey and whatever.
Yeah.
And they just that triumphant look of, my God, the little boy in every hockey player that
Yeah.
has dreamt of holding the cup and them kissing it. So I thought it was perfectly done.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We have many
Yeah.
questions, but I'll ask one and see how we go. So Sharon, this one's actually basically for you. How do you choose the year when you're deciding the 90s rewind?
Excuse me, it's random. Really?
that's
and
a
it's-
really disappointing answer, Sharon.
well, it's random in that, like, and I don't keep I keep a track of what we cover, but not in a way that's easily referenced. So it's random because I'm like, oh, I can do this. I'm like, no, you just did something like that. So it's, you kind of got to go where you go. And what I'm aiming to get at is like where we are now in the year, like late April to that time in that year. So it's not just a random grab of, oh, it's the fall of whatever. I want to go now and then.
Nice.
So it is random, but I'm like, I don't want to do, 98, 99.
Yeah.
I want to make it sort of feel kind of all over the place, but
Didn't
I
we
think
used to
I
do the
think I can do that without trying.
Yeah.
Didn't we do the alphabet before?
We did do the alphabet before.
Yeah, we did do that.
That was a couple of years ago.
It got so boring. Ugh.
Oh, A to Z. Boo.
Question number 2 is I guess essentially for me and Sharon on this one, because it talks about the start of the show. This is from Caroline, I believe. Why did we decide to do the 90s instead of doing the 70s or 80s, like with 90s now?
I know the answer.
Why? What's your answer?
Well, my
'Cause
answer
it's-
is I asked
Because
you
it's
to
your
do-
favorite decade.
well, it's the decade that means the most to me. So I grew up a child of the 90s, I would say. And then I asked Sharon to join along on the ride and she agreed. So here we are.
And that, do you remember, Kelly, my answer at first was like, I don't know. Because we were like it's been 11 years now. So we were well into the 2000s. But my thought was like in the moment was, is there a lot coming from the 90s? Like I was just so focused on where I was at that time. And I grew up in the 80s, technically, like teenagey grew up.
Yeah.
But then once we started doing the show and getting into the idea of doing a podcast versus doing radio, which is what we do normally,
yeah,
it's a different game. We have a little bit more freedom with the amount of time we can talk and all that. but it was pretty quick when we realized how great and resourceful the decade was and how important it was to both of us.
Mhm.
And then to bring Adam into the fold, to have been born in the decade, but then become a student of it. I think there's every indication that we made the right decision to do this decade.
I think so. And question now for Adam, and then Sharon and I can answer this also.
Uh-oh.
What 90s fashion? And Adam was 4, so when it so Adam, what 90s fashion would you like to come back? Like, did you like wearing the most? So
What
probably you
90s fashion?
a diaper.
A pull up.
That's a good question. Wait, I'm gonna Google 90s fashion. I'm gonna try something. All right, give me 1 second.
Sharon, what would
90s
your
now
fashion revisit from?
I think you would be happy if I would be able to find my parachute or whatever those pants, the MC Hammer pants.
Yeah.
Those were something.
I just want to say I tried Googling 90s now fashion. That was
Ooh.
not the best thing. So
Okay.
I took out the now.
That's more sweatpants.
I'm now looking at 90s fashion.
Yeah.
90s now fashion, a cotton blend.
Yeah. For me, I really love, like, as we've discussed, I had really baggy jeans back in the day. I love them, but Sharon's already answered pants. So I will say back that I was in grade 9, so this would have been like 92-ish. Do you remember, Sharon? Everything was fluorescent for a while, and like I had like these really cool purple jeans.
Ooh.
And like with this like yellow pink shirt, like fluorescent, and like I loved it. So,
but you know what? I'm looking at so many pictures. I feel like there's so many, like what we're wearing today is so influenced by.
yeah, I think we've done the cycle, right? Like we've done.
I
like,
think we
sure.
have, because I'm looking at all of this and I'm like, I see people wearing things like this.
Yeah.
Like a skinny
Like-
jean.
I just don't want the fashion from the early 20s to come back.
No kidding.
So let's bring everything back from the 90s,
There we
because
go.
it looks a
was-
lot more. It looks amazing.
Because the 1920s would mean that we were like flappers, wouldn't it? Is
What
that
do you
too
mean
early?
flappers?
Like that style of
And didn't they have
Yeah.
those weird like
this face
beanbag-
doesn't say she wants it to happen
Yeah.
either.
those beanbaggy type dresses that were like baggy and then came around your knees, like those, like in flap, they had the flapper hat, and then it was like a potato sack.
It was burlap.
Yeah.
That's what's different. We're in a cotton blend today, but then we'll be bringing back the burlap sack look.
I'm
Is
sure
that a sack of
thought of that
potatoes or is it Kelly Alexander?
anyways, that you can't beat a good hoodie. So there we are.
Truth.
I love hoodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should get 90s now hoodies. We should get back to some merchandise. That's what we should do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with our like fancy logo that we've got going on. So it's good. So that's enough of me. I'm going to shut up now. Thanks all. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the questions, everybody. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
We like
People
to.
are super getting into the 90s mailbag. So this is great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for filling up our bag. I gotta go clear out
Yeah.
my cash.
That's all for us.
That's not enough. Yeah.
When did they lose control? Right around the end.
Yeah.
All right. Funny how that works out. Thanks everybody for finding us wherever it is that you do, and then for communicating with us wherever it is that you do that. You have a bunch of options, so we appreciate you using any and all of them. Certainly one at a time. And thank you for listening to 90s Now. Still happening.